This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu. Wow, I'm like conditioned. Sadhu. You know, I always thought it was kind of cheesy when Ajahn Brahm did it at first, and look at me now. I'm just a conditioned thing. Anyway, the crazy sadhus, if anyone else hasn't heard them before. Okay, so now, I guess I talk, right? Now I talk. Well, I thought I would do something in honor of the fact that I believe, how many of you watch tennis? I'm not raising my hand. Any of you? Yeah? Yeah, okay, 2 people only. Oh, you're missing out, everybody else. Okay, well anyway, is it now the French Open or is it just recently finished? It is the French Open now. No, finished. Okay, one or the other. I can't tell what you're saying. You're muted. Okay, anyway, the French Open, for those of you who do not watch tennis, is one of the 4 Grand Slams that happen. These are the major tournaments. And I used to love watching tennis. I promise I haven't done it. Sadly, I haven't done it since I've become a nun, but I used to love watching tennis. I was like the #1 armchair tennis player. Can you be such a thing? I was definitely an armchair tennis aficionado, as was my mom, which is hilarious because neither one of us had ever like stepped on a court and hit a ball with a tennis racket before. But somehow, just by pure watching it, we figured out how it worked. We figured out how the game worked, and it was like, this is the best game ever. And even after I started to practice the Dhamma, I'm like, there's so much Dharma in watching a tennis game. I'm serious. I'm not just justifying it, but it's seriously you can totally contemplate Dharma and meditation principles, etc., etc., through the lens of tennis. So I don't know, there's been a talk on the Dharma of tennis, but this will be what tonight's one will be about. So I have to say, I promise, it's because I told you I really haven't watched since I was a nun. I really had to look it up today. I did look up to remind myself, how is tennis scored? Because it is like completely like complicated. So for those of you who do not watch tennis, I'll just give a quick recap so that you all are not lost and there's only 2 people who are following anything I'm saying. But okay, so tennis is composed, we start from the small then, okay. You have to win 4 points to win what's called a game. And then you have to win 6 or 7, sometimes games, to win a set. And then you have to win 2 out of 3 sets if you're a woman, and 3 out of 5 sets if you're a man. At least back in the day, I don't know now. I feel like women have to play 5 sets too. But anyway, in the olden days when I watched, it was 3 sets for women and 5 sets for men at most. But if you win in 2 sets, you don't have to play the 3rd set. And then, yeah, and that's how you win what's called a match. If none of you follow that, never mind. Because I'm going to tell you a story of, I don't know if it's still considered the best match of all time, but back when I was well, it was hard to say because it was actually the last tennis match I ever watched, I think, from Wimbledon before I became a nun. So to me, it was definitely like the best match ever. But I think if you Google it, it's still considered one of the best matches of all time. So this was not the French Open. This was at Wimbledon. Everyone's heard of Wimbledon, right? Okay, yeah, right. So, but anyway, it was Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. And these are like the big wigs of, they're probably number 1 and 2 or something like that. And the score, again, I looked this up, I don't have this memorized. The score was, Rafael Nadal was up 2 sets, the score 6-4, 6-4. So, you know, pretty good, he broke serve. And in the 3rd set, Roger Federer is like, oh my God, I'm down 2 sets, this guy's gonna win. He like clawed his way back to get a tie break. Nadal wasn't giving up too easy, so it was a tie break. And it went in favor of Federer, so he won the 3rd set 7-6. And so the 4th set could be this decider if Nadal won. But then again, Federer clawed his way back to keep himself in the match, and it went to tiebreak again. And then it was Nadal was again lost the tiebreak, so Federer got up 7-6. So now Federer's got 2 sets, Nadal's got 2 sets. Federer barely got them, but he got them. That's all that matters. It's like you could be on the wait list to get into Harvard, but once you get into Harvard, you're always going to be, I'm a Harvard graduate. So it's the same thing. So he got 2 sets, and then the final set, this was like epic, because in the final set in the olden days, you had to win by two sets. You couldn't just be like, okay, another tie break. No, in the last set, it has to go up. You have to win like 7-5 or 8-6, but it went to 10-8. I mean, can you imagine that? 10-8. It was like nightfall by the time the guys stopped playing. It was like a match of almost 5 hours long, which to me is like incomprehensible. I mean, I can certainly watch 5 hours, but I don't think I could play 10 minutes. So anyway, the thing is, this shows you just how uncertain a tennis match is. This is why I loved it. I loved it because you never knew how it was gonna go. I mean, you watch something like soccer in American English, maybe football in Australian English, and you're like, you're waiting for like a whole hour, and maybe someone doesn't even score 1 goal. It's like the most boring thing ever. But with tennis, it's like something's always going on, and then you don't know which way it's gonna be. And what I always marveled at, more than their technical skill, was that I'm like, they gotta have a lot of like mental training, the people who can be champions in tennis, because you have to be able to ride that wave of like, I was ahead and now I'm behind, and am I gonna win the tiebreak, and all of this. And you can see that among the top players, it's not necessarily technical skill. There were people who are very talented, and you know, if they were playing well, they played really well, and they had, you know, amazing serves, amazing whatever, you know, returns, all this stuff. But the thing is, if their mental, they weren't able to, like, you know, have the mental stability to keep going no matter what seesaw, part of the seesaw they were on, they would just choke. You know, they just, all that talent went to waste because they couldn't keep the mind stable enough to keep going, even though it looks like they're losing, or it looks like they were leading and now they've lost it, and, you know, it's like, oh, what a shame, all of that. And so I really marveled at this. And I have to say, maybe I'm romanticizing athletes because I never was one. I'm like, yeah, athletic champions, you know, they've really got a lot of, like, highly developed, you know, like what we would call, like, you know, chitta bhavana, you know, like mental development. Because it takes a lot of that, I think, to be able to succeed, certainly in tennis. Because if you think about it, if you were Nadal, you were 2 steps ahead, you know, 2 sets up ahead, and this guy barely snatched from you with these, like, very close tie breaks, wouldn't you get a bit frustrated and feel like, oh my lord, I had it in the bag, and then now what? And then if you let yourself, you know, if you let yourself get carried away by the emotion, you wouldn't be able to play the next point, and you would, like, mess it up, and then you really would lose. And it's something where, this is why they have things called sports psychologists, because they know this is where matches are won, is in the head. And that's something which, you know, I felt like I used to, among my many gigs, as she said, I did various jobs, but I used to be a journalist, and I always wanted to interview. I mean, I wasn't a sports journalist, but I always wanted to interview Rafael Nadal to ask him, do you have a meditation practice? How do you keep your mind so in the present moment? Because that's what it is. When you're watching a great tennis player, you can see that they have to really be right there in that moment to be able to just do it without having that bigger storyline of like, oh my god, it's, you know, whatever point, it's triple match point, it's whatever, and I've lost it, or I've got it, or all of that. They have to just be in that point. And I believe, I could be wrong, I mean, it's been so long ago, I think I might have read an interview with Nadal, or an interview with some other good tennis player, that they said, I just play the point in front of me. And that was like, exactly. They just have to focus on the point right in front of them and just do what they feel is appropriate in that moment with that particular point. And as long as they're just playing with each point, then success is easier than if they put all this, you know, like pressure on themselves to like, oh my gosh, this is the set point, or this is the match point, or this is the, like, the thing that's going to break the tie break. And that's something which, yeah, it takes a lot of present moment awareness. And the thing about that is that it involves having to really, you can't afford it. You can't afford to have any worry about what just happened. And you can't afford to have any concern about what will happen. Will I win? Will I lose? Did I just mess up? Did I not mess up? Was the line call wrong? All of that stuff. It reminds me of something I do, which is the most athletic thing I do. At the monastery, we have to chant our monastic rules every fortnight, every Wimbledon fortnight, every 2 weeks, and then one of us has to do it, and we do it by, I mean, now every one of us that does it here does it by memory, and it's like basically chanting for about an hour nonstop our rules from memory. And the way I feel when I'm doing it is like I'm like doing all this like acrobatics with my tongue to be able to pronounce Pali, which is like not my native language. I mean, maybe not in this lifetime, maybe some previous lifetime it was, but in this lifetime it's like some very foreign language that I had to learn how to pronounce and how to do it quickly, because if you don't do it quickly, it takes longer than an hour to chant. And to do all that acrobatics, you know, I feel like, yes, this is very athletic. But the other thing is, in that kind of activity, it's just like a tennis player. I cannot afford to worry about the mess up I just made. Because, you know, I mean, who can chant that perfectly from memory? Maybe someone can, but certainly isn't me. Certainly isn't anybody I've ever seen. So you have somebody called a checker. So as you're chanting, someone checks to see whether or not you made a mistake. And then they call out, oh, okay, you said this word wrong, that word wrong. And when I was first starting to do this, every time the checker said something, I would like, it would bother me a little bit. Like either I felt like, no, I didn't say, I said it right. Or I felt like, oh my God, I got it wrong. Or I felt like the way she interrupted me was like jarring, and then I kind of lose it, and I can't quite get back to the flow of what, the rest of the chanting, and I flood it, and it's like a little bit difficult. But then I thought, no, you just can't worry about it. Whatever happened. You got it right, you got it wrong. They got it right, they got it wrong. Maybe they made a mistake and corrected you incorrectly, if that makes any sense. But you just have to keep moving. You just have to keep going, because otherwise it's going to mess up the next word. And so then you can't think also, but how much longer? You're like, it's 311 rules. It's like I'm only at 100. How much longer? I'm getting tired. So you can't worry about that either. You just have to keep in the moment, keep on this particular word, and just keep going. And then I'm like, yeah, this must be what tennis is like, And the way to do it is, yes, to just keep at this point. And when you do that, it's a really good way to experience being in the present moment with something that is more concrete and I guess more compelling than maybe watching your breath. Like watching your breath, it doesn't feel so urgent. It's like, oh, there's one, there's another one. Like the differences between them are quite subtle. It's not like if you're playing a tennis game, it's like, okay, the ball's coming here and it's like going there and it's 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. It's more discrete where the present moment is and what you have to stick with, right? And it also feels more compelling because you're like, okay, if I mess this point up, then I'm down, whatever, how many sets I'm down or however many points I'm down. There's a clear consequence. And when I'm chanting the Patimokkha, there's a clear consequence. If I've got the word wrong, then I have to recorrect it. If I have to keep moving so that we finish the recitation. So there's a clear something to keep you. There's like a motivation to keep you in the present moment, which we have to learn how to transfer that to when we meditate. Because sometimes it doesn't feel like what the Buddha told us. The Buddha said, practice like your hair is on fire. And you're like, I never had my hair on fire. I don't know what that feels like. And I'm just watching my breath. It doesn't feel so urgent. It doesn't feel like your hair is on fire. But you kind of have to have that sense that like this moment matters the most. And that's when death contemplation helps. This is going to be my last moment. This is going to be my last breath. And then you really have to zero in on that breath and that moment. And then that's how you gain that clarity. So if you can find things in your normal life which like give you that experience, similar to a tennis game or some kind of activity like chanting something really long and complex or whatever it is. I don't know what you do in your life, but think of something that you can try to experience that in and try to like channel that feeling or that sense you have of the preciousness of the present moment when you meditate. Then that might help because the present moment and our ability to stay on it is very elusive. And so that's something which can help. And the other thing that I found helpful I took so long talking about the doll and never imagined how much time to talk about the Dharma. But okay, let me quickly tell you about something else, which is something I remembered when watching the French Open. Every so often the umpire would say, whenever the crowd was getting too loud, like they get really excited, it's a triple match point, or it's like the deuce is going to be broken, all this stuff. The umpire says very politely, "Silence, s'il vous plaît," to the crowd, which is basically, silence, please. I learned my French from watching the French Open, so it's like, oh yes. And then the crowd would go quiet for a little while, and then it blares up again. And it's just like your inner chatter. Sometimes I do this when I'm meditating, whether it's sitting meditation or walking meditation, and it's like my mind's like, yum, 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 yum. It's very, very chatterbox. Then sometimes I say, sort of jokingly, but sort of seriously, "Silence, s'il vous plaît." And kind of my mind's like, and it silences a little bit. Because I was well trained by watching years and years of French Open, that is the appropriate response. And so that's something, I'm serious, you can do that. when people are like, oh my God, when I meditate, all I have are these thoughts like running around in my head and blah, blah, blah. Well, you tell them, like an authoritative umpire, that now is the time for silence, please, because you can't be too harsh. And there's something about doing something a bit jokey like that, which I think is helpful, because sometimes when people meditate, including myself, you're very serious about it, and then you can be a bit like very forceful with your mind and very like commanding, do this, do that, be quiet, and no one like to listen to you. It doesn't like to listen to something like that. But if you do a bit of something a bit haha, a bit jokey, then it's more likely your mind will be like, right, okay, I'll be quiet. So something like that. So that's another trick I learned from the French Open. And the other thing that I found it sort of revealing that mindfulness has gone everywhere now, because I was watching, yes, I admit I don't watch tennis, but if you're on a Singapore airline flight where there's like screaming babies around you and you're like, there's no chance I'm going to sleep, then you go look for the documentaries, because those are allowable. The documentaries on the in-flight entertainment. So I watched this documentary where somebody was interviewing Djokovic. Is that how you say his name? The other famous tennis player. And he was talking about how, yes, he's, he practices mindfulness. And it's helped him a lot, because he used to get very emotional in big points, and then that's how he would lose it. But now he says, when during the game I feel like a lot of like a strong emotion coming up, whether it's like sense of fear or like nervousness or excitement or something, he learns how to just use mindfulness to be aware of that feeling and drop any storylines he's created around that feeling, like, oh my god, nobody cheers for me, they're always cheering for my opponent, or like I don't know, whatever storyline, like, oh no, I'm losing my ranking, if I don't win this tournament I'm going to keep becoming more and more mediocre, or whatever. He learns how to drop the storyline and to just be with the feeling of the fear or whatever, which is something you can feel very clearly in your body. And especially if you're an athlete, you're very aware of what your body is like, what it's feeling. So that's a very simple technique that we can all do. So even if we're not like playing a tennis game, but in our daily life, or even when we're meditating, we can feel sometimes frustrated with it, right? You can feel like, why is my mind not responding to silence s'il vous plaît appropriately, and it's like still chattering, or why is it I'm so sleepy, I'm wasting all this time, or whatever, and you might feel frustration come up. Then you can feel that frustration in your body and let it subside, because as long as you've got that more coarse feeling, you can't focus something more subtle. If you're trying to focus on something more subtle, you're just forcing your mind to do more than it's appropriate at that time. And so that's something which can help us also ride the emotional waves of our own meditation. Or if we're getting to something, maybe our meditation has progressed to the point where we might be feeling some unusual feelings, like pleasant ones, what may be termed rapture or piti or sukha, or like just sort of like, wow, this feels really unusual and strange, what is this, or whatever. It can be pleasant, but you could also be a little bit like a little bit afraid of it, like, well, what is this? And that can be a big stumbling block, is when your mind gets wrapped up in the fear or the excitement about it. Oh, finally, they all talk about rapture or bliss, and I'm finally feeling it, I think. And then you get all caught up in your excitement that, like, yay, score, and then it's like gone, because you're no longer just with the experience. Now you're with your story, and you're with your craving about it. And so then you can do exactly what a tennis player does in those big points, is you try to forget about the story you have about your meditation experience, and just be with the emotional response you have to it. And after that subsides, through that sheer awareness, you can go back to whatever it is that you were feeling underneath that. And so that's something which is helpful at any stage of your meditation, especially the more unfamiliar new experiences you might have. Then it becomes especially useful. And what else? I have only a few more minutes, so let's go for gold. Another thing I feel is really helpful is to adopt the attitude of not playing to win. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, I've never got to interview Rafael Nadal, but I wonder, like, when you enter a match, are you thinking of winning it? Or are you just thinking of playing the point for the sheer fun of it, you know? I don't know, when you become a professional athlete, if you can, like, you become more jaded and you lose that innocent enjoyment you once had of this game that you just loved as a kid. I don't know, but I think the trick is to play, not to win. Now I'm not going to talk about a tennis player. I read something about this young football player from Spain. He plays for Barcelona, and his name is something, I don't remember his name, but he's like really young. He's like a teenager. He's like a hotshot. So he was saying, when people are like, do you feel the pressure? And he was like, if I think about it, I feel the pressure. But if I just enjoy what I'm doing and have fun, I don't feel the pressure. And that's exactly the same thing that happens when we meditate. When we're like, I'm going for jhanas, man, because Ajahn keeps on talking about it. I finally want to get it, you know. And then you're like, you have a goal in mind. You want to win it, you know. And then it tanks. You know, your meditation is like, it tanks because you're not focused on the moment. You're focused on something in the future, and that's something which is also, you know, it's just fraught with craving, which is gonna never works, you know, when you're meditating from this standpoint of wanting to get something. And so you no longer just enjoy the meditation. But if you have that idea of, you know, I'm not meditating to win anything, I'm not meditating to get anything, I'm just playing to play for the sheer joy of playing. I'm just meditating for the sheer joy of meditating. I'm just being with this breath, the sheer joy of being with the breath. Then you can actually experience the sheer joy of it, as opposed to feeling it as like a means to an end, and you get frustrated, you don't get the ends you want, and then you feel like you can't meditate, and then you decide to stop. That's the other thing. Yeah, that would be the final thing, I think, would be to say, I think the people who can be champion athletes are the people who never give up. You know, no matter how far into the game they are, whether they're 2 sets down, they're still like, I'm still in it. And even if the other guy got another 2 sets, you still have the deciding set, and you're like, I'm still in it. I just keep going. And that's something with your meditation too, because even in the course of one sitting, it's like a whole game. There's ups and downs. So maybe in the beginning of your sit, you're like, your mind's all over the place, and then, you know, you're like, oh, this is terrible meditation. But after a while, you're like, hey, my mind's getting more peaceful. Then after a while, it's so peaceful that you start to get sleepy, and you're like, oh, damn, I lost it again. And then it's now you're in sleep's land. And then you're like, oh, forget it. It's a waste of time. I'm just going to stop. But no, if you actually just kept on sitting, you would ride through the sleepiness, and then you would reach something else, which would be maybe a place of great calm. And so you're always still in it, you know, if you keep at it. So if you say you're going to sit for an hour and you feel like, oh, it's terrible in the first 15 minutes, don't give up yet. Just keep going. Maybe by 40 minutes, you're like, wait, that's really enough. Yeah, just keep going. And then you never know how the game's going to end, because you just don't know. It's so unpredictable. Your mind is like way more unpredictable than a tennis game. So as long as you have the sense of, you know, keeping at it. And this doesn't mean just in one sitting. It means keeping at it through the years, because you're not going to get a lovely meditation every time, let me tell you. And there will be times in your meditation career where it's like really hard because of whatever was going on in your life. And you can't be like, oh, I give up on meditation. I'm not good at it. I can't do it. Because unlike tennis, everyone can do it. Like, that's the thing about the Dharma. Like, anyone can practice it. Everyone has the exact same potential. It's just how much you just keep at it until you realize your potential. So as much as we like to glamorize all the great, I don't know, qualities and skills and psychic powers or whatever, I mean, really, like, a lot of success, maybe 99% of it, is just keeping at it and being patient about it. And that's something which I think is really, you know, at the heart of being a champion, whether the champion tennis player or champion, I guess we don't have champion champion meditators unless you consider enlightenment the true biggest trophy ever. But yeah, so maybe that's the rousing end to sort of to take heart from these great tennis players who never give up until it's really the 5 sets over, and it's really the end game. And even if you lost this time, there's always the next Grand Slam coming up, so it's never over till it's over. So as long as you keep at it with this heart of just enjoying it, because even if you lose or win, at the end of the day you're going to get older, and then some new young hotshot will come along anyway. So just enjoy it while you can. And the same with your meditation. Just enjoy whatever experience you have in this particular game of your meditation. So that's probably enough talking. Let's have a game of meditation. Okay. So I think I'm just setting my timer so that we don't over meditate. If there were such a thing. Okay, so just settle into your cushion, chair, wherever, bed, and just find a place in your body, space inside, and you feel some comfort, and then spread that. Head to toe, sending that comfort to your face, relaxing it, and getting ready to just have an enjoyable 30 minutes. So easing the neck, shoulders, chest, upper back, lower back, the abdomen, your arms from your shoulders down to the fingertips, and your legs from the hips down to the knees, down to the ankles, down to the toes. So we're going to play a game of mental tennis, so to speak. So imagine you're just getting yourself warmed up with the big game. You can do any pre-match rituals you might have, adjusting your so-called tennis costume, saying any helpful prayers. That's Buddha Dhamma Sangha times 3. And then forgetting where your match is being held, how far along you are in the tournament, all of that. And just going out into the sunshine to enjoy what you love to do best. You can hear a lot of people cheering for you. That's nice. But then try to bring your mind inwards, so you're not focused on anything outside. Just coming into your own body, your own mind. can notice if you're feeling any emotions coursing through you. Any pressure you might be feeling to have a good meditation, to have a peaceful experience. Just feeling where that might be felt in your body. Or if you have some excitement about what's going to unfold. Or if you're bored, just find the feeling in your body. And relax into it. Softening around it. And just remind yourself, there's nothing to be gained, nothing to be lost. You're not here to win anything, to attain anything. You're just here to experience the sheer joy of being with your breath. What is the breath? Well, we can only know it by what it feels like. So how does it feel? As it comes in and it goes out. Just as you might follow a tennis ball on the court with your eyes, follow the movement of your breath with your mental eye, with your awareness. No thinking needed. Just follow where you feel it. So just as there's something called the sweet spot on a tennis racket, where if the ball hits the sweet spot, it feels just right. So in the same way, just notice how you're being aware of the breath. If you're gripping it too tightly, or if your awareness is too loose and it's drifting. Try to see if you can find the sweet spot where you're not holding too tightly or too loosely. Your mind starts to chatter, or if it hasn't quite stopped, just remind it, silence, s'il vous plaît. Your mind feels more settled and spacious. Enjoy that spacious feeling. Wide open, like a tennis court, like an arena. Just let your mind roam where it wants to. No need to control or choose the direction. Just enjoy the space. before we end the meditation, we can spend some time sharing the peace and joy we might have experienced, to whatever degree we did, to other beings, so that our practice is not isolated, but is connected as it naturally is with all other beings. So you can imagine yourself standing on the tennis court of a really huge stadium. And from your little rectangle in the middle, you can imagine yourself spreading this palpable feeling of lightness, peace, of joy. First to your opponent, so to speak, whoever is nearest to you physically, and then outwards. People in the front row seats, and then the next level, the next level, going higher and higher up in the stands, in all directions, north, south, east, west, whatever seat number they have, however much or little they paid for their tickets, to all beings in the stadium, not just the people, maybe the birds have come to eat little crumbs of snacks, to any little insects that are fluttering around the stadium lights, to any devas who enjoy a good tennis match, to all beings beyond the stadium, beyond what country you're in, what continent you're in, even what planet you're on. The spreading the peace, the joy, the light, all the way in all directions to every obscure corner of the universe. As far as your mind can reach, as wide as your heart will open. So may the benefits of my practice be felt, be experienced, and be rejoiced in by all beings everywhere. May all beings be well and happy. May they be free from all suffering. May they live with ease. And may they be truly, deeply free. And now just bring your awareness back inwards. Roaming back inside your own mind, your own body. Feeling the warmth in your heart. And keeping it there. To nourish you beyond this meditation. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to wherever you are. Okay. So I hope you could hear me, because people tell me my voice gets very soft in guided meditations. But never mind, sometimes guided meditations are better when you have your own silence and your own guidance. So I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has any. Don't be shy. Oh, everyone's so peaceful.
Question, this is Martha.
Hello, Martha.
I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
I do want to ask, however, at the end, I don't want anyone to experience the way that I am feeling right now. Pretty much fear and loathing, except for the people who put me in the situation. Now, I can, because of years of practice, keep my eye off the ball, so to speak, in the present moment when I want to, but you know, what would you say to the person who really has nothing to look forward to? I'll give you an example. Let's see, like the child who's born into a family of 14 who's never really taken care of, never looked at, never fed and held and whatnot, and then was orphaned. Or, I don't know, in America, we created a race. We created a race in America of African Americans. We made them work for free. Then when we evicted them, quote unquote, at emancipation, quote unquote, we gave them 50 cents on the dollar, the men. So we emasculated them, and then we drove them insane and told them it was their fault. I'm in that place right now, and there is peace within, but only when I'm with people like you, doing meditation. Is there some, and really when I'm not really generating joy or happiness right this very second. I'm pretty much eliminating negative states, because there is a deep place within that is completely still 100% peaceful and calm, but the rest of the body, it's not so much the mind, because I can do the silence, please. Silence, please. And it works, but the body's, I can feel the cortisol coursing through my veins. What would you say to someone like that who really doesn't have basic needs taken care of in the context of the other parts of the path that are not meditation?
Yeah.
And they're really, all right, so thank you. This is Martha. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, thank you, Martha, for sharing honestly like that. Yeah, you know, even the Buddha said that some basic needs have to be met so that you're physically well enough. But what you're describing about sort of the more emotional kind of scars you might have, or the feeling of, yeah, I mean, trauma is a big word, but you know, just the pain that we can carry in our lives. But that's not something that can't be an object of the present moment. And peace is not something other than that. Peace is found within that, actually. it's kind of amazing, you know. I remember reading. You might have heard of her. Pema Chodron is an American nun ordained in the Tibetan tradition, but because I started out in the Theravada tradition, so I hadn't really read her stuff. I was such a snob when I lived in America, you know. When you walk to a bookstore, there are like 3 people. It's like Dalai Lama, Thich Nhat Hanh, and Pema Chodron. I'm like, look at the masses are reading this lady. Then surely I'm going to read something more highbrow. Oh, what an arrogant little poof I was. But anyway, so when I actually did read it, I was like, wow, I'd never heard of how to work with difficult emotions like this. I had never gotten those teachings before, and the concept that she talked about not concept, but the idea, I guess, or the reality of it that she described was that within all these energies that you're talking about, I mean, you can biologically describe it as cortisol or something, but what that physically produces in your body is an actual sensation of fear, of discontent, anger, pain, all of that, and it's but the liberating concept was that this is none other than the energy of wisdom. It is not different. The energy of peace that comes with wisdom, it is not different. It is the same thing. It's when we don't freeze that energy by fixating on it as this is pain, this is fear, this is anxiety, but we let it. Actually, it has a very fluid nature, and if we you have to be a bit brave to allow yourself to actually maintain your awareness of that unpleasant physical sensation. I mean, these feelings do not feel pleasant. They are. It's called pain because it is physically painful too. Emotionally and physically, it's painful. And so to be able to actually just be with it, it's like, wow, it's like such a concept, like what, just be with it. I'm not supposed to run away from it, you know. And the first time I have a very clear memory of working. I had a lot of, anxiety is my friend, right? So I know a lot about how to experience anxiety. So being with it in a way where I wasn't drowning in it, but I also wasn't being taken away into all my storylines about it. Like, the story you told is very true and very real, and that is the history of America and race in America. That's not false. But the thing is, it's still a storyline that is different from your actual physical experience. And so if you're actually with the physical experience, you will see that actually, if you're just with it, it shifts. It's fluid. It's not something solid. And when you can see through that solidity and find that its true nature is fluidity, then you can actually flow on with it, and it comes and it goes. It's like waves. And so you will see actually the peace is like part of the same process. It's like once the really painful sensation subsides, there is peace. But if another thought comes in about whatever situation you're in that triggers the pain, then okay, you'll feel the pain again and you'll have another wave of pain. But if you just ride it with your awareness and just be with it, it sort of dissolves. It's like the weirdest thing. You have to experience it to be able to know what I'm trying to describe. But when it dissolves, it's really gone. That particular wave of fear or anxiety or pain has passed, and then you've got the peace. And it keeps coming like that over the years too. It'll keep coming back. But the empowering thing is to know that it's not that you've got to go to somewhere else to get peace. It's not a different part of your mind or a different part of your experience. The peace is embedded in that very disturbing experience. But you just have to be with it long enough for it to reveal itself. And so that's something which, you can try experimenting with that, see if it is beneficial.
Yeah, I've done a lot of experiments. I'm not Buddha, Moses, Jesus, or Muhammad. I'm not capable of just sitting with it until it dissolves, and I also think it's unethical to think or not to perpetuate a notion to people who haven't even tried practicing ever and don't even understand these concepts, that everyone has everything that they need to do that. I mean, I've been practicing a very, very long time, and it is without the external conditions and support of this, even just this. I've asked for this in my real life. You, the people to meditate with. I just asked for 30 days for somebody. Get up and do this with me. That's all I ask for.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't actually hear that last part. But yeah, I hope your practice is helping in some way, and that you keep at it. And I'm sure, everyone's glad that this group is able to support you in that. Are you still there? No, she's not. Okay, well, I hope she comes back next week. And yeah, I mean, let's be honest, like in guided meditations, like you don't know what the people actually are experiencing out there who are actually doing this so-called guided meditation with you. So you say something. But honestly, the thing is, every person's experience in that 30 minutes will be very different. And it's just about, being able to apply some principles of awareness, or, kind of the attitudes we have towards our experience that are most important, really. And it's not to say that we always have to feel like peace and joy and light at the end of our thing. 30 minutes, we might in the smack dab of like pain and suffering, which, it's just 30 minutes. I mean, so knowing that, we don't have to come to that place of peace, joy, light by 30 minutes. We just learn to be with our experience, whatever it is, honestly, but also with a sense of warmth and acceptance. And I feel if you just have those principles, you can do anything with your you can experience anything in meditation and just be able to navigate it with those very basic, fundamental, core principles. So, anyone else? Sky, or so Simran from Bali. Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Greetings from Florida.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I wasn't sure who I'm looking at. Okay, hello.
Okay. Thank you for your talk on the tennis. That was fun, and I could relate to it. And for the meditation, I had a very emotional meditation, as I see that our friend Martha has had also. Her pain is very palpable. I can relate to it because even though I had a more privileged upbringing, even painful, but more privileged than she did, at least I had affection and love. But this child seems like she was deprived of all things. But it reminded me of a couple of things in the tennis. I played tennis as a child. I'm very good at a lot of things, but I'm never great at them. I never wanted to be an expert, but I act like I am because I know a lot about a lot of things. And I learned how to play tennis on grass. So that was kind of cool as a child to have that experience. And luckily, I had a good fortune to have a boyfriend who loved tennis. It saved his life, actually. But one of the most beautiful things in tennis is being ready. When you are ready, you are ready. And it is an intense readiness, but it's so beautiful to be able to focus on something like that. I just wanted to mention that. And also, when the game is over, you can't go back and change one damn thing. You can't change your shoelaces. You can't change your sneakers that you wore the wrong ones that day. You can't change where you're born. In other words, you can't change that you were deprived of childhood, or, we can't go back. I tend to dwell on the drama of childhood because I felt my innocence was taken away. which reminds me of just remembering Nikki, who passed away. Like I said, I had an emotional meditation, and I just want to remember Nikki for a minute. And the other thing I wanted to say, I heard a great Dharma teaching by Venerable Nick.
Who?
You know Venerable Nick? I can't say his full name, but he's a Theravada, I believe. And he has a psychology background. And before he ordained or became a monk, he broke down, similar to maybe even Martha. And so he had to crawl back. He had a mother. So he went to his mother, and I think she was a Buddhist. So there's a blessing there. But she told him a story. Maybe you know the story. Maybe it's a simile or a parable or something. But about his mother said to Nick, okay, you are wounded. You have salt in your wounds, a big lump of salt. This hurts. You have to dissolve the salt. You cannot dissolve the salt in one step. The only way to dissolve is by applying metta, droplets of kindness and loving kindness on as if it were water, and a little drop of water on the salt. Slowly by slowly, it becomes a tablespoon, and then it's a cup, and then it's 2 cups. And this water of kindness and love that you are practicing, you have to practice. You must continue practice, even if it takes 50 years. It dissolves. Eventually you have a bathtub. You need a bathtub to dissolve all this salt. And slowly by slowly, the wounds will heal, and keeping I think it's like preparing with the Brahma Viharas, that the 4 mudita, karuna, metta, and upekkha. To practice to understand those 4 things has helped me enormously with my pain and suffering, because I had to learn how to love others more in general. I had to have more compassion for others. I had to have more sympathetic joy for others and reduce why wasn't it me and poor me, and and I see the difference in my being, my entire being. Once in a while I may come across a friend that may remember something horrible or something wild I did to them or something, and they may bring it up and remember me by that, and I have a minute of pain from their remembering, but I won't give myself the second arrow, So if you're really practicing Buddha's words, you have 84,000 tools to navigate the tennis court, because those balls are coming at you left and right. And when you get that sweet spot and you've got a good game going, it's going to stop. It's not going to go on forever. You want to know what that point is. You can't predict it. That's going to take you down or make you win or lose, So I think practice, like you said, is and Pema Chodron, she talks plain English. She's a lovely nun and a great teacher. Her old staff, of course, she's up there in years now, bless her heart. But she's still alive, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's.
I wanted to say the salt story because that really impressed me. Because like Martha, I dwell on the past too much.
Yeah.
And all my friends are sick of it. They're sick of hearing me. And you have to. I have to practice recognizing the self. I feel bad for the young Norma. They call me Sky, but my real name is Norma. And I really feel bad for that little girl but I don't feel bad for this Norma. I feel bad for that Norma, and I can't let that go yet. I don't know why. There's a certain attraction for humans, for melancholy and suffering and negativity. It takes a human being 10 times as long to accept something positive. Unless you're just born with that gift. Maybe it is karma after all, that we have to go through these things. And if that be so, then think of the salt. You got to use your loving kindness. Me, I had to learn how to be content. I can't be here wishing I was there.
Right.
In other words, that is a certain key of misery. That is the biggest misery of all, of being here and wishing you were there, or being here and wishing that were different.
Yeah.
So, those are just the things that you provoked in my reflections today. Thank you, Ajahn Dharmasara.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't change my Zoom name. That's our shared Zoom account, so that's the name of our monastery. But my name is close enough. It's Munissara, close enough. So but yeah, no, thank you for sharing. And I'll just share like a pithy but very helpful combination of I have to say, I heard the quote first from Oprah, the second most influential spiritual teacher in the world after the Pope, who has now passed away, so maybe she's ranked number 1 now, according to one ranking. But anyway, I found that this quote actually was sort of similar to something that His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, so either way it sounds good. But it's something like this: to be able to sort of forgive your past, forgive people, or let go of the past, is to give up the hope that the past could have been any different. So it's exactly what you said about you can't change your shoes, you can't change any point in the game, it's done. So you can't change what happened to little Norma. But when you give up the hope that it could have been different, you free yourself. And that's something which you can compare the feeling of that freedom and the feeling of enjoyment from melancholy. So it's only when we see the suffering of the melancholy that's actually there. There's some enjoyment. We can enjoy anything, frankly. So we are twisted that way. And but when you see that, if I can actually experientially compare whatever satisfaction I get from dwelling and sort of being in the melancholy with the freedom of giving up the hope that your past could have been different. And that's something which I found very, very powerful, that statement.
You gotta laugh.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh in a way, because it seems so ridiculous that we cling to that. But then again, that's grasping, right?
No, that's habit. That's what karma is. Karma is habit. And so all of those things, the people who just naturally are like positive minded, they're not naturally positive minded. They just build up the habit over, many lifetimes. And so if we have a habit of like melancholy and, whatever, righteous indignation, like whatever it is, it's just a habit. And it can be, we can condition ourselves to have new habits that are, more helpful, more beneficial. And so that's something which is why the path is wide open, and that's something which gives us all a sense of hope. So the past we can't do nothing about, but the present we can, and the future will come from what the present is. So that's very empowering. So I wanted to go back to Simran, who has been patiently, she or he, I'm not quite sure.
I'm a she.
Yeah, me too. Shaven head ladies, unite. I'm wearing a beanie, but no, I am literally just shaved because yesterday was Sabosata and I'm a day late in shaving. But anyway, naughty nun. Okay, so what was your question?
My question was, I just want to make a comment first, which is I wanted to say that appreciated what you just said about how meditation doesn't have to have, we might not finish on the most positive note, because at a temporary seminary program, at the start, I noticed we'd be in doing meditation, and you just hear so much crying, multiple people just crying their meditation. And then towards the end of this seminary program, people were just loving it, and they wouldn't come out of the meditation. So I think it's so valid that you need to sometimes go through that to then, come to the blissful states. But my question was during the meditation when you mentioned about when the mind chatters. I wasn't sure if that was just like me picking up on a technicality, but I have previously been sort of informed by other like monks or nuns that the mind is sort of like let's say the post in the water, like in
The
sea,
what in
and
the
then
water?
the thoughts,
Sorry,
like
the
a post, like a buoy.
post,
in
right?
the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the thoughts are sort of like the waves, but the post is separate from the water in that sense. So my question was regarding when you said when the mind chatters, is it sort of that the mind is noticing the chatter, or is it the mind itself?
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's like it's all semantics. So, yeah. I guess in that sense, all I meant was that there are thoughts happening or floating through the awareness. There's some, yeah. Like the problem with mind is sometimes it's used differently in different sentences and different senses. But all I meant really was to mean that you've got some thoughts in there. It isn't a silent sound booth in there. There's some thoughts going on, and you don't have to keep entertaining the thoughts. You can just tell the thoughts, "Excuse me, let's have some silence, man." And all that is it's just a skillful means to try to because what happens is we latch on to the thoughts. Just the same way anything that's like, we think is like, it's disturbing and leads us away from peace we like. And so once we start the mind, once there start to be thoughts, I guess technically the mind is really the awareness, the chitta, right? So it's the awareness is what we can turn to notice that they're thoughts. But the thing is, we can also notice the process of us when we continue the thought. That's what it is that keeps the sentence going, is that there's a thought, but then we keep adding on to it. Whereas if we just sharpen our awareness and notice, a thought has bubbled up and that I don't have to continue it, then the sentence stops and then you can have some silence. And so that's where I was kind of getting at. But yeah, that's the thing about meditation. And I'm like the worst one to say this because I'm such an overthinker, but I've had to learn over the years, like, let's not think about it too much. It's more like a felt experience, and the words we put on top of it and how we describe it will be different. But the idea is really to kind of see what the word's pointing at and in your own experience. So, but yes, I'd love to ask, well, just quickly, where is this seminary ordination program you did?
This was a Pabaja seminary program in Jakarta, Indonesia, because we have a dream to be to pursue the monastic life, but
good dream.
I have a medical condition and I have to treat that first before I can pursue that path. But I've decided to dedicate myself to the practice in lay life as I can now, and I do. Since then, I try my best to continue with the rules and just focus on the four exercises and all these things and live my life as much as I can within my means. But hopefully, one day I'll be able to come to Dharmasara. I'm from Sydney, so I've already spoken to Aya Karunika, and she said, come stay for a bit when I can. So yeah, I do hope one day I can come and be one of the nuns there. And that's why I really appreciated when you gave such analogies that were so close to real life, because I think it's so nice to see that humane nature, that monastics are just people, So I really appreciated that. It was really inspiring, so thank you.
Yes. Let me underline that. Monastics are just people. We just look funny. but we actually are funny on the inside. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like the more you come to monasteries and you meet the nuns and you talk to them, the less like elevated it all seems, in the best possible way. Like, people are so afraid to join monastic life because they think they have all these faults and that, they're not yet, pure enough. And it's like, dude, if you were pure, you wouldn't have to ordain. You just be, you finish the path. But you come and ordain because you're not yet pure. And this is a path that will support you very well to work on, the path, on your practice and all of that. So yes, you come, you see us, you're like, oh, okay, if these people can stay here, then, then surely I can. So anyway, that's, yes, just a small reality check for anybody who has highfalutin ideas of what a monastic is. Okay, well, it's looking...
Jan, yeah, I noticed that we are getting close to the finish time. We have had a request that the merit from coming together tonight be dedicated to Nikki, who was a member of the group for some time. She died a few weeks ago. The week after she died, we were notified, and just to let the person know who's asked for the dedication of merit, because not everybody's able to come every week, we did dedicate the merit at that time as well. But there's absolutely no harm in also dedicating the merit tonight for her good rebirth. She was a consistent practitioner. So just letting you know that's we've been asked to do that by one of the people here today.
Sure.
Thank you, Elle.
Well,
But before we finish off, I just wanted to thank you so much. I've never had a tennis Dharma talk and a tennis meditation. And it was just delightful. Some of the phrases that you introduced, it was just the lightness of it, and just to try and bring a bit of fun into what sometimes can be, as you mentioned, also a hard slog. It was very beautiful. So thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. And we look forward to next time when you come back.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Catherine, for moderating today. And I'm so glad that some of y'all could follow the tennis analogy. But did you want to, shall we do something to, formally dedicate the merit? So,
Yes, please.
yeah, I don't think I've seen her in the few sessions I've done. So if you all can bring her to mind in actually her face, if you know what she looks like, just visualize Nikki in front of you and letting her know that we have again come together on a Tuesday night with the Armadale group, done an hour and a half of practicing the Dhamma together, and have her in mind for her example of being a consistent member, practitioner, dedicated. So may she rejoice in our practice. May our practice and whatever peace and happiness has come from it be shared with her. Wherever she is, may she be able to be supported in her Dhamma path, to keep growing in this life. May she attain the highest peace of Nibbana. So if you'd like to keep doing that in your daily practice, then that'd be great, and I'll be happy to write her name on our chanting list that we do every day at Dhammasara. Do you know her last name? Or just Nikki?
I will email it up to you.
Okay.
Up to the monastery. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining and for your questions and your experiences that you've shared. And it's been lovely to see you all again. Next month will be another non-Venerable Genti, and then we are off for the Vasa, school holidays. And then after that, we'll see what happens. So all the best to you in your practice until next time we meet.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
You're at China. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Cheerio.
This is the
Lovely to see you
team.
back, Gloria.
Thank you, Catherine, for helping out.
Pleasure. No worries.
Okay, so is Bob? No, Bob's not there. Okay, well anyway, we'll try to compress the files tomorrow and send it to Bob. And yes.
Just one thing.
Yes?
Bob has retired.
Oh, no kidding! Really?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, he has retired. So I think currently they are still finding people to replace his position, but I think according to my limited knowledge of the situation, I think there is currently no people who is responsible for editing at the moment. So I'm not sure about the file thing as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe you can just, I don't know. Do you have drive in your but you can just maybe keep it at the moment?
Oh, yeah. You mean okay? So until you find. So currently, none of the Armadale things are being published to the website. Is that because there's no Bob?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because I think it's like technical team of the it's not Bodhiana Monastery, but the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, the BSWA, the technical team of the BSWA is currently like finding person.
Oh, okay. So we can hang on to the files for whenever. I mean, they don't go bad. So yeah.
I mean, if there's place in your drive for that, then it will be you can keep that. But I'm not sure about because it's really hard to find a person like Bob. So I will not have too much expectation on it. But if that is okay, you can keep it for the moment first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, that's sad. Okay, because I had just met Bob and Marlene. Now the team has changed. Okay, well, yeah, thanks for letting me know, and I will, oh wait, does she want to say something?
Marlene wants to, Marlene wants to say something. You need to unmute Marlene.
Thank you. Nikki Petch, P-E-T-C-H, is the name of the practitioner who died recently.
Oh. Sorry, can I grab a pen?
Running through my email list, which I will be deleting shortly. Her name is Nikki Petch, N-I-C-C-I.
Oops, sorry.
And I could email it to you, Ajahn.
Oh, you're gonna. Yeah, maybe that's better.
Your email, so do that.
Yes, the old-fashioned way. Email it to me. Okay, and yes, thank you. Okay. All right, sure. So I guess Gloria, you'll update me when that happens. If they ever find somebody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, but don't expect.
Yeah. There is no one. Yeah, it's a big job. Okay, well, who knows what the devas will send. And but anyway, it was nice to see you all, and thanks, Gloria, you're now the coordinator. Is that correct? Yeah. Thanks for taking that on. Another big job. Well, anyway, yeah.